You collect debt like people used to collect Pokemon cards.
Oops.
So you have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 collections. But you know what? Let's just go to the jewelry store. Let's get a $3,000 earrings. Huh? Yeah, that's the best. How do you get collection with Comcast?
I am very confused about that because I pay them every month and I don't know. Like my internet works, so I'm very confused.
All of this debt, you have no idea what it is.
No,
I mean, come on, man. Like,
no, whoopsies. No,
welcome to Finance Action. My name is Romain, and together we'll dive into someone's personal finances, learning from their stories and taking action towards their financial future. Follow me along as we discover the story of Aidan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. So let's look at your profile. Aidan, you are 27 years old. You're originally from California, Palm Springs. You currently live in Bellevue and you work as an event and marketing specialist. Is that right?
Yeah, I would agree.
Awesome. Looking at the way you've rated your finance perception from chilling to Mayday, you've rated yourself as yikes. Can you tell me a little bit more about that and why did you rate yourself as such?
Yikes. Well, it's been a long time coming. As a kid, my mom, she had me. She was a 16-year-old waitress at Sizzler.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and she was a single mom. And then she instilled, I know you can't tell, but I'm half Latina.
Okay.
But
awesome.
no, she instilled hard work into me and the value of it. So anything that I've ever wanted, like besides like the bare necessities, like I've had to work for or earn.
Okay.
And then after my ex leaving, like it just like that was put into overdrive for sure.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your ex leaving. What happened?
If I'm being completely honest, like I think that I don't say we loved each other, but he offered something like a little security that I needed. I was moving out of an apartment.
Okay.
And then he had a good credit score, so we got an apartment together. But then it just it didn't work out.
It didn't work out, and so you had to pretty much carry on the spend that you guys had as a couple now by yourself. Is that
Yeah.
Is that what you're telling me? Okay. And that put you into a financial strain?
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
It's been like 9 months now.
9 months, okay. And since then, you've been carrying on that same lifestyle?
Not in the same degree, but definitely for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we'll be looking into some of your expenses on that front shortly. But as always, we like to dive into your income situation. Tell me a little bit more about what you do and how much income are you expecting?
So I just started a new job. I'm about to be an events and marketing, I guess, specialist.
Okay.
But no, I was a stylist at the mall.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Like for clothes, not for
Yeah.
hair or anything like fun like that. But I worked on commission and I made enough money to support myself and my bills, but not enough to like live a real life. That's for sure.
Okay. So how much are you expecting to make now in this new position?
About 60 to 65K. We'll see.
And that is pre-tax, right?
Yes.
Okay. So at $60,000, that gives you a monthly net of about $3,500. Is that what you should be expecting around?
Yeah.
Okay. So when we compare that against your age bracket at 27, the median in the United States is $50,700. So you are quite above the median, but no, again, Seattle is an expensive city to live in. So always something to put in perspective. As we move on through your assets, here you've been providing us with some of your statements. Thank you on that front. And as I look into your assets here, I see that you have $200 on your checking.
That sounds about right.
$200 on your checking account. Do you own any other assets?
I have some valuables, but I don't think I have a lot of assets. That's for sure.
Okay, cool. So in terms of liquidity today, you would say you have about $200 if something was to arise.
Yeah, if I had to like get out of the country, yeah.
Okay. Okay, sweet. Well, I mean, a fairly simple income and asset assessment here for our friend Aidan. Do you believe that you're going to be able to increase your income in the short term?
Yes.
How so?
Because I'm gorgeous. No, no, because I am starting this new job, and my mom, she's an event planner, and I've always like kind of worked for her as an understudy, but now I am finally like applying those skills to actually for a career myself.
Okay.
So I think I'm gonna be just fine. It just I've like really been in just like a pickle.
Okay, no, that's fair. And is that what you want to do for the rest of your life? This is your field of passion, you would say?
My dream is to own my own restaurant,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
but that takes an incredible amount of capital. But also having the, I guess, sales slash marketing, like front of house background is very helpful to that. Because I don't know if I want to cook in my own restaurant, but I definitely want to have my own restaurant, if that makes sense.
Okay, that's good. In the short term, in the case of our assessment today, we'll maintain a $60,000 just to account for variations potentially in some of the fluctuation in the market. So let's look at some of your expenses. First, let's start with accommodation. How much do you pay for rent?
$1,900.
Woo! Okay, and it's an apartment that you buy yourself?
Yes.
It's a 2-bedroom?
One.
1 bedroom. Wow. Living in almost luxury. I mean, 1900 for Seattle. You probably live in a good side of them. That's good. Okay. Well, I mean, let me tell you a little bit about that. And that's excluding, of course, electricity and all of those, right?
No, I think actually total, like with including utilities, I think it's $1,950.
Okay. Okay. That brings your cost of accommodation at 54% of your income. Which is very steep. Very, very steep. We like to see it being below 28%.
Okay.
So for you, it should be around $1,000. Now, $1,000 for a 1-bedroom in Seattle can be very tricky. Yeah. Okay, that's a very expensive living situation here. Are you on a lease or is it month to month? What is it?
It is month to month at the moment. We originally signed a year lease, me and my old partner. Okay. But at the moment, it's month to month.
Okay, month to month. So you have an exit potentially if you would want to leave this at some point. Okay. Okay. How much do you pay for phone, my friend?
Parents.
Okay, that's cool. Great to have parents that can help you afford that. Do you have a car, transportation expenses?
Not yet, but I'm working on that.
Okay, so you would want to buy a car in the short term?
Yeah, very much. I think it's what I would do for my birthday this year.
Okay. What type of cars are you looking for?
I prefer an SUV if I can get a Pilot, like, okay. Sure. But probably like a Civic or something affordable. Okay. It's just like for the gas. And in my experience, the worst thing that you need to do is like change the oil.
Right? How much budget are you giving yourself for something like this? $30,000?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No, my friend. You no. You can't afford that in your situation with $200 on your accounts.
Oh, yeah.
Were you going to buy this new?
No.
Okay. So what type of car are you trying to look for? Honda Civic at $30,000? I mean, you can buy those like, I don't know, they're probably like 20, 25 new. So
really?
Yeah. So where you can throw $30,000 new car? So number one, until you make a fortune or you have the greatest deal, never buy a car new. You're going to lose money from buying a new car, right? Generally, we like to think about 30%. The moment that you exit the door, you're losing 30% value on your car, okay? So if you were to buy something new at $30,000, you're already taking a hit. Now, with your amount of income and the amount of assets that you have today, it's delusional. So forget about this. Personally, we'll be discussing this in our recommendation together. But this should be the least of your worries. However, getting transportation, I agree with you 100%, especially for the city of Seattle. Yeah. Public transportation, again, if you're living in New York or cities that are really well built around public transportation, 100%. But for cities that are so spread up like Seattle, I'm concerned that you will be losing time, and your time is your most precious asset, okay? If I was to be in your shoes around this, I would not look for a car that is more than $6,000 to $8,000, okay? At $6,000 to $8,000, you can have a car that is about maybe 5 years old, okay? A small car that has a good miles per gallon, that has good reliability, easy to work on, and great on parts, okay? Some of the cars that I tend to recommend, I'm not sponsored, like a Mazda 2, Toyota Yaris, Mitsubishi Mirage, Suzuki SX4. Those brands tends to be very reliable for budget-friendly environments. And your goal today is to go from point A to point B with no worries in the morning when you turn the key on, okay? So I want you to already structure your mind in this way, because the $30,000 here is going to be one of the worst depreciating assets that you can have.
Like, that's more than fair. I'm like, how much can a car cost? $10? No, like.
No, okay. You're spending $0 on your car, so that's good. As always, when you make a car purchase, it's important to consider three factors. I'm sorry, more than that. The cost of the car, the maintenance, which includes oil change and tire change, for example, and insurance and gas. Okay?
The insurance and gas, that's what I'm most concerned about, because I would definitely have to make sure that I take care of it. Like, that would be my responsibility.
Would it be your first car? No. Okay. How does your records look?
There was an accident, and it got totaled, and then it was...
Was it your fault?
No.
No, because if it is, the insurance is going to raise its prices, because it depends if it has been more than 3 years. Sometimes insurance has 3 years or 5 years. Generally, insurance look at the rate they're going to provide you based on your driving history. And of course, we recommend it to have as nice of a driving history as possible. You know, there's a factor of age, driving history, and of course the car that you're insuring. It's more expensive to insure a Ferrari or a Lamborghini than a budget-friendly car. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so on that front, I think you should be in your mind at least forecasting, if you want to be, always leave a little bit of legway, between $150 and $200 per month on that. Just food for thoughts. Okay.
Yeah.
For the purpose of our assessments today, I'm not going to put that in.
Okay.
I'm going to put that in the wants category, and we'll discuss about this later on. What do you do for food, mate? I see you're eating out quite a bit, aren't you?
I do. Well, so when my ex left, like, I was a spouse on the lease, and for some reason I wasn't allowed to log into our maintenance thing, and I was gone all the time, so I didn't care. But our stove didn't work, so I would just order out all the time. That's over with, and I think I'm a proficient cook. So that's been going a lot better since. But I spend a lot on food, that's for sure.
How much would you say you spend per month?
I would say, maximum 5, but the past 2 months a lot less, because I've been cooking. So I would say
that's good.
3.
300. Okay. And that, you would say, is your minimum to be comfortable and feel okay about your food situation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. That's fairly reasonable for one person. Me personally, I like to think maximum about $100 per week, $400 if you're an individual, one person. But for the purpose of your analysis, again, given that your needs are so high, we'll keep it at $300. As we look for entertainment, do you actually spend a ton of money outside?
So luckily for me, again, my parents pay for most of my, I guess, video services. But I would say like $70 a month in my own personal video game.
Okay, on that front, so I couldn't see too many expenses around so much entertainment. So on that front, you stay fairly frugal, you would say.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any pets?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. Okay, I want to tap a little bit into this. What do you mean not yet?
Well, like, that's the thing. I'm not in the financial situation. First of all, I don't have because first of all, pets are extremely expensive.
Yes.
But I don't have a set schedule. If I did, then I would love to have a dog.
A dog. Okay. So friendly reminder here. From a financial perspective, I have a little dog myself. Okay, and so I'm an example of that front. Having a pet in the United States can be very expensive, okay? So I'm glad that you're bringing that component into consideration. Time, of course, is the number one. Time, love, and everything that you can give to your animal is the number one. Can you commit the time, okay? The responsibility as well. Now here, it's a finance show, and so we'll be discussing a bit about the finances. Owning a dog can be extremely expensive because you have to account for pet insurance, which I heavily recommend, as you know, food, any incident, and everything that goes around. He needs a little bed, he needs a little chew, and so on. Well, it's not free. So it's very important that you make the financial assessment of owning a dog, which can be thousands per year, depending on certain situations.
And that's, I think, on like the soft side.
So the soft side.
Being honest.
So please consider that as well, if not more than the aspect of affection that you can give, because you can have all the affection. If you can't afford the basic needs to take care of a dog properly, then you should consider and either save for that little individuals that we all love.
100%.
Yeah. So let's look a little bit at your debt situation. I mean, I'm gonna call you a collection collector, my friend. You're you collect debt like people used to collect Pokemon cards.
Oops.
So as we review your debt situation here, as we've been discussing, a lot of the amounts are not as strong. I see Capital One, $205, Credit One, $600, Comcast, $240. Those are not like $1,000 of collections, but I want you to realize that this has a tremendous impact on your credit score. And as a 27-year-old individuals, your goal today is to make sure that you position yourself the best way in your future.
Yeah.
How do you get into collections?
Well, I think the two, the biggest derogatory marks on my record are, I would say, fine, 50% my fault, but the other ones, like the Comcast and
so let's firstly start about the credit cards situation. Like the credit card, the Comcast. How do you get collection with Comcast?
I am very confused about that because I pay them every month and I don't know. Like my internet works, so I'm very confused to why I have that mark. But the other ones, like the small amounts, I usually just moved. And I probably just forgot.
Yeah.
And I'm not the most. I forget sometimes.
Okay. So you've put yourself in collection here. First, we start with credit cards. When it's fairly small amounts like this, do what you can to not get into collection, because collection is going to have a tremendous impact on your credit score.
Yeah.
And with a credit score at around 600 something, that we won't be saying, but you're at the 600 mark or so.
650.
Right? It's going to impact your chances of leveraging debt, and debt is not always bad. Okay?
Yeah.
Well-managed debt can be a tremendous asset for business development and so on and so forth. Okay? Many people consider debt is bad, debt is bad. Okay. Bear with me here. Credit card debt is awful. It's the worst that you can have. Never get into credit card debt. Let me tell you why. As much as I cannot see here the interest because you're in the collection period for those, credit card debt tend to have interest rates of about 30% or more. Okay? Very few investments that are not crazy risky are going to give you those returns. So never engage in that. So you're just collecting collections, I'm sure they've probably reached out to you, haven't they?
I'm sure.
Right? Okay, we'll be looking into how to deal with that front later on in our recommendation section. But overall, just a number of collections as we move on to other type of collection debt again. Medical debt, let's go. $6,473 for one medical debt and the second one for $566. What happened here?
Okay, so the $6,000 one is when I broke my elbow, and I was confused because at the time I was 24.
Okay, so it's been 7 years.
Yeah, I was supposed to be underneath my parents' policy. And also, my parents always told me, if you ever need to go to the doctor, you're going to be just fine.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I really have no idea what that's about. But the other one, I honestly could not tell you. The small one.
Hold on, you don't know. All of this debt, you have no idea what it is.
No.
I mean, come on, man.
No, whoopsies. No, the other over one, it's a, I don't know.
566?
I have no idea what that was for.
You need to stop collecting debt, man. Not stop collecting collections. Another one, apartment, 2,428.
Yes. And that was, I would say, 45% my fault. But
Yeah, but you're taking 100% of the debt on it.
that is true. Actually, if you look it up, it's a joint account. But me and my previous ex, like from years ago, we had an apartment together, and he just like up and left as well. And I was stuck with the lot, and then I found a new apartment that I paid for.
Okay.
And then I just assumed that I was taken care of. And you know what happens when you assume.
Yeah, but it seems that twice you've put yourself in a spot where you're the one that's is liable for the rent situation when you go with the partner. Like, how do you guys sign the leases that it always comes on you?
Believe it or not, I used to have really good credit.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay, so that brings your total amount of collection debt to 10,500.
That sounds, yeah.
Okay. 10,500. Sorry.
It's like one bracelet.
Right. Okay, so we've now looked a little bit into your credit card expense, but there is one thing that I haven't told anyone yet. You've made an expense a couple months ago of $3,000 at the jewelry store. What was that?
They were a pair of earrings that matched this bracelet that I'm wearing right now.
Right. So you have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 collections, but you know what? Let's just go to the jewelry store. Let's get a $3,000 earrings, huh? Yeah, that's the best. All right. Well, without further ado, then that brings us to the next segment for our financial action. Let's bring the money case. Welcome back, and this moment that everybody's waiting for, the money case. So, we've just been discussing that you spent $3,000 a couple months ago on that.
Uh-huh.
I want to show you the strengths of time and how much are those earrings going to cost you over the course of the next couple of years, okay?
Okay.
So in this scenario, we are saying as follow. If instead of investing the $3,000 in earrings, you would have put those into a brokerage account, an investment account, and invested that on S&P 500, which is the top 500 company in the US that have a return of 10% a year, historically, okay?
Yeah.
The amount of money by the time you retire you would have on your bank account, if you only have put that money aside and not using on your earrings.
Uh-huh.
So you're 27, by the time you're 60 years old, you would have not 10,000, not $30,000, $69,675. This is the value of compound interest. Do you understand the component of what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
The best asset that you have today for you, Aidan, is you have time. And time can allow you to invest that gold category that we've been discussing and put it towards things that are going to contribute to your future self. This that you have in front of you, and I want you to raise it so that you can see what it looks like,
No.
is your earrings by the time you retire. No joke. I mean, look at this.
I'd rather
This
have
is
that.
no jokes. Yeah, exactly. This is why time is so important.
Wow.
So now that you've realized the importance of making big purchases, I want you to be more considerate about when you approach things like this. Because a little change today in your behavior, something that maybe the earrings, you're going to enjoy them for a couple of years, yes. But this maybe is just a one-time here. Imagine how much you would be having for your future self if you were making little actions every day. Little things that can change the course of your life.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
That's more than fair.
So now that we move into our recommendation sections. So I am no financial advisor. This is purely my recommendation based on my experience and knowledge. If I was in your shoes.
Mm-hmm.
As we look into the categories that we've distilled together, first your needs. What this means is literally your food, your rent, some slight miscellaneous other expenses. is bare bone what you need to live, assuming you do nothing else. Okay? Today, your needs, based on the calculation that we've put at, are about 70% of your future income, which is about 2,300 per month. Okay? This is assuming you don't have a car. We like to see it below 50%. So imagine when your car kicks in. Okay? Why? Because you have such a high expense on your accommodation. It's too much.
Yeah.
More than half of what you're earning is going towards accommodation, my friend. You can't do that. I understand it's nice to have privacy. It's nice to have a one bedroom. Think about how you can potentially move to a place that is less expensive. Potentially you have a roommate if you feel comfortable with that. I think you should top yourself at 1,000, 1,200 on this. Okay? And find yourself something around this. Trust me, this is going to very much help you to contribute less towards your needs, and this will more contribute towards some of your future goals.
Yeah, and which would be to go to pastry school in France, actually.
Okay, so you see, you have a vision, you have a goal here, and I think it's great to have vision, a goal. It gives you an objective to look forward and kind of set up the steps to accomplish that. And one of the first ones, on your case, I would say, is accommodation. Try to look for something a little bit more reasonable against your salary.
I think that's more than fair.
The second thing is transportation. If you can pull public transport and you see that it's not costing you too much time is of the essence, then I say keep it public transportation for now, okay? Because I want you to start taking care of those damn collections, okay? When the process goes to collections, you don't have a crazy amount of money into this. But what you have is you have a slight leverage because some of them are so old that the debt collection are going to be able probably to give you a bargain on those. Yeah. Okay? But I want you to take care of those collections because I want you to rebuild your credit score. It's going to be tremendously important in the next couple of years. Right now, you're still in your 20s and you don't want to put yourself in a spot where you've created a structure that is fragile, that is weak because of stupid decisions. Comcast, $200. You can negotiate all of that. You have $10,500 total. Yeah. Because else you don't have much other debt other than that. So your debt situation is not critical. But I want you to be mindful that you can get yourself out of this fairly fast. As we look into the other categories, when I look into your wants, you know, I've put about 5% of your budget, about $150 in wants. Okay, that's the maximum that you should allow yourself. Want is going to be for, some of your miscellaneous expenses, things that you like to have, but it would be great if you don't use that money. So how much does that leave you on the side for that gold category that I mentioned to you? That's the most important one. So wait. The gold category for you, your target today, Aidan, I want you to save $1,000 per month.
Okay.
$1,000 per month minimum. If you can get your accommodation and you reduce it by $700, that gives you $1,700. Yeah. Okay? $1,700, little by little. I want you to rebuild yourself because now you have an income source that, while it's not the greatest, if you play the game right, because a lot of your expenses are covered by your parents, I want you to best use your cards. And so negotiate on those collections. Please take care of those. Don't let them run. Yes, you're going to thank me in 5 years when your credit score is much better and you want to afford a house, you want to afford something. And people are going to say, okay, the collections were taken care of. Okay? You can negotiate on that. What do you think?
No, I think that you're completely right. And I think that I've just been lazy. My biggest debts are the, whatever is it, $6,500 and the apartment, but the other little ones, like I could do that easy.
Yeah, but take care of those little ones. Just get them out of the way. I think what you're gonna feel as well is a sense of accomplishment. That's it. Yeah, $200. Okay, it's out. It's out of my way. It's out of my life. Move on. Those collections have been, with you for years now. It's nonsense that you're carrying stuff that are less than $500 on collections. No, I don't accept that.
The funniest part is that I will spend that on like a night out. So
forget about that. Forget about that. You told me you have a vision. You will do anything to go to France.
Yeah.
Then commit to this damn vision. Put yourself in a spot where you're to succeed. You now have a job. You now are in a position that you can, if you play it smart, go to France, in a fairly short period of time, assuming you can well negotiate this.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think you're gonna do it, or you're gonna continue
No,
collecting
like
collections?
well, that's the thing. Like 30, flirty, and thriving, like that is my main goal. Like I have 3 years, like 2.5 years, I guess, to figure it out.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm 30 myself, and let me tell you, if you're not 30 yet, it comes to the realization like, okay, that's it. You know, I'm no longer a kid. Time to build a real situation. You know, I've taken steps over the course of my 20s to put myself in a good position. But you know, I've committed and I've made sacrifice. You know, I could drive with the income that I have a brand new Mustang that I would love to have, but I drive a Ford Focus electric.
Yeah.
Why? Because I'm okay today to take a little bit of my pride away to drive a car that maybe is not as premium. But at the end of the day, you know what? I'm investing this into other investments. If you really understand how the system works, you can leverage that and you can put yourself in a spot where you can live normally. You don't have to count peanuts for $200 on a Comcast subscription.
Yeah.
And in your position, you have an income, you don't have too much debt. Take care of that, and I think you will be good to go. Okay, Aidan?
I think so too.
All right. Do you have any final words as we wrap up our discussion today?
Gosh, I don't think so. Now I'm very much inspired. And that's the thing. I think I've just mostly been lazy, not doing the things I need to do because, like, obviously a pair of earrings sounds more fun than paying off my Comcast debt.
Yeah, but I want you to be mindful of your spend and get yourself on the road, man, because I really think you can make it, okay?
Well, thank you for saying that. I feel much better. Honestly, I feel like I do feel inspired. That's
I love
for
that.
sure.
All right. If you would like to leave a like and follow, I would love that. Aidan, it was a pleasure having you with us today.
No, it was my pleasure. Like, thank you for having me.
Of course. And we see you next time for the next episode. Take care.